Hey everyone, how's it going? Can you guys all hear me? Just want to make sure everyone can hear me and see me and the charts all good. Just want to get a yes or no from you guys. That would be great. I'm gonna get started now. I apologize. There are some stream issues, but that's pretty normal. So I think it's all good now. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see me, and we're good to go. Give me a yes or Y if you can hear me and see my charts, and we are good to go. Thank you. Everything is good. Good, good, good. Yes, yes, yes. Great, great. Nice, nice, nice. I appreciate everyone joining the new ones. Everything's great. Um, let's get started. I'm just doing some back end here, so give me like 30 seconds. I'm just sorting all these out, and we're pretty much good to go. If you guys have any pairs for the week, ongoing week that you want me to take a closer look at, welcome to let me know, and then we can get started. I'll make sure to go over those when I talk about that market. I'm gonna start with Forex, of course. I'm gonna start with Forex and then kind of move on to other markets as we go. Um, I'll go over the ones that I think they're doing very well, or ones that I think that may shape up for the week ahead, and we'll take it from there. Greetings from Australia. Nice to see you. All the way from South Africa. Nice to see you. Great, great, great. Everyone is telling about where you're from. Great. Well, I'm from Vancouver, Canada. So nice to see all you guys. Different names here: Malaysia, South Africa, Australia. I'm sure there's a lot of Caribbean here. Wow, yeah, great, great, great. So I'm live now. Then let's get started here. Just double checking one last thing here on TradingView if it's all good. Yeah, I apologize for these streams. Sometimes TradingView doesn't work. It just happens from time to time. So I just have to delete the previous stream and then recreate one and go from there. So can you turn up the volume? Is this better for volume wise? Can anyone confirm with me? Oh, look at all these places that you guys are from. Slovenia, Brazil. Yeah, it's great, great, great. Nice to see you. Nice to see everyone from different places. Great, great, great. So I'm live on YouTube and TradingView, so I'm just answering all the stuff from two different platforms. So lots of different people from different on YouTube from different places. So this is great, right? This is what trading is all about, and all about that we can connect everyone together. That's the great part. So let's get started. I apologize, there was a 10 minutes delay, but I'm gonna get started here. So the only position I'm live is still Euro Dollar, which is what I talked about last week, and I've been talking about this for a little bit of time. Talk about this in the weekly recap video as well. So basically, I'm just looking for a potential up move, right? The price is basically reversing from this kind of a descending channel, or you want to call it falling wedge. So basically, price is reversing up. Now I want to see what price will do at this top first, and then see if we're going to continue all the way to top or even break out. But I think first thing first is just this top and see how the price will move, because this can easily kind of just move up to the top and then reverse back down and go down, right? Traditionally forming something like this, like a bearish kind of correction to go down. But for now, I do see a very good kind of bias for the move up, at least to the top, and then we'll kind of reevaluate to see how the price will go. That is the only position I'm in right now, which is Euro Dollar. I'm not in any other positions, and but I will talk about ones that are really, really good. I think Pound Aussie is going to be the next one that I'll be looking for. So I think this is very, very clean. might as well go over this one first right now. I think there's very good potential here on Pound Aussie. I know a lot of you guys may be looking at Pound Aussie for quite some time. And I mentioned when the price was in this kind of area, be careful because we're just not getting the price pushed down. Now we can see price beginning to kind of separate from the previous pattern. I'm gonna have a workshop, just so you guys know. I'm gonna have a workshop on Thursday. On Thursday, I'm gonna go over a workshop on price action here. I don't think you can see it here, but I'm going over another workshop about structures within structures and pattern separation. This is going to be the one that's going to talk about kind of what we're saying here in terms of pattern separation. I'll give you guys kind of my points on what I think it is. There seems to be a lot of different variation of it, but I'm happy to explain the way how I understood it. Now, in terms of Ponzi here, so how the price kind of move away from this structure here, but it forms ascending channel. It didn't really break down, but it pushes up, forming another kind of small ascending channel. So all these are patterns on its own, but in terms of how I see it is that the bearish bias doesn't change. Okay, all that is doing is basically just creating new patterns, but the overall bias here is the same, right? We have this overall move down from the price. This is still a large impulsive move. We originally got a correction here and it pushes down and it forms into its own structure, which is kind of a parallel channel here. And then they continue to create smaller structures within. But all these really doesn't change the fact that this is an impulsive move pushing down. And then that all we're seeing here is just bearish corrections, bearish corrections. But the overall impulsive move is still there, which means that we're still going to very likely get another impulsive move to the downside. It's just whether or not the price was ready to go down here, was it ready to go down here, or is it ready to go down here? But nothing changes overall from here for me in terms of price action. So just basically looking for a potential sell from here afterwards. Okay, so that's Panazi. I just want to quickly go over that. I think there's a lot of potential here. Just waiting for, I think, a lower time frame perspective. I think will be nice. Now you can see price already kind of broke down from this price here, from this correction here, but I'm more leaning towards some sort of a continuation here if it's going to develop. It would be nice to get a little bit of a correction here, and definitely looking for the sell, right? I think there's no question here in terms of a potential bearish reversal. Right, so that is pound Aussie. Now let's talk about a few pairs. Now I'm gonna start with like dollar index. I mean, for the dollar pairs, and then we're gonna gradually go down. Like I said, if you have any pairs you want me to take a look, let me know about it, and I'll take a look as well. What about gold? Yeah, I'm gonna go over gold after. Okay, I'm gonna start with Forex, which is what I do always, and I'll go into commodities afterwards. About that, yeah, I certainly can take a look later, but like I said, I'm gonna go through the market each and one, and I'll certainly go over the ones that you guys type in the comments. I'll make sure to go over. Aussie pairs, yeah, I can look at Aussie pairs. Yen, pound dollar. Yep. Welcome to go over these. But like I said, I have a few that is more on my watch list, which I will let you guys know. And there's ones that you guys are requesting. I'll make sure to go over those as well. Kiwi Dollar, sure. Great, great, great. Nice to see you. Nice to see you from Nigeria. So let's go started. There's a question here, Victoria. When do you convince yourself you're wrong? In other words, when do you think the asset should go up instead of down? Yeah, I went over that a few times. I think there is a few things that I could mention, like something like this, something like this on Pound Aussie. If this doesn't kind of move down followed by correction, because all this move here, here's the difference between what I mean here. Now you see all these difference patterns. Now, if the price was to, while the price is in this formation, if the price was just to impulsively break out followed by a bullish correction, then this is basically a signal almost from the market telling you that while all these bearish kind of price action is no longer valid, then that the bullish momentum is taking over, right? It's basically a sign from the market telling you that what we once saw was bearish price action is no longer valid because we have a bullish impulse, bullish continuation to go higher. So all these previous analysis is basically not applicable. But whereas how the price is, like we didn't move up, we didn't break up impulsively, we don't have any bullish correction. These are all bearish reversals, right? All these are bearish reversals. It's basically telling you that although price is kind of separating from its previous corrections, but nothing really changes from a bearish point of view because they're just forming additional bearish corrections that is kind of getting ready for themselves to potentially reverse, right? And that's kind of how I use these or see these in these kind of terms. Unless price just kind of start consolidating here into a more bullish correction, certainly can happen, and this goes up, then okay, that will void kind of what I'm saying here, right? But if this is going to form something like this and then just start pushing down correction, then that's going to start the next bearish trend, right? So so let's get started. Let's get started with dollar index here because originally, if you guys recall from maybe beginning of May or mid-May, we were talking about the dollar strength. Indeed, we did get the dollar strength pushing up. But after it pushes up, we start falling into more of a reversal type of correction, more bearish correction. You can see after breaking this high here, price began to fall into this kind of a channel, or you can say it's a wedge. But basically, starts showing a potential reversal and also a previous kind of top. Right, and you can see that once it completes this wedge or this kind of ascending channel, we're basically we're basically getting this impulsive breakdown, right? So we're getting very close here, but if we're going to just get a little bit more corrective structure here, I definitely see this just continue going down. This overall price to me is pretty reversal-like, right? We have the top here, we have the wedge reversal, and if you look at how the price has been moving around in this larger correction, right? Falling wedge, push the price up, rising wedge, push the price down, falling wedge, push the price up, rising wedge likely to push the price down to the end here. Right? If we just zoom out here a little bit on the higher time frame, um, you can see that if we zoom out here, this can easily be a bearish continuation correction for this overall move, right? What was once originally could be some sort of bullish activity, but we're not breaking this high. We start forming this reversals, and we're getting a little bit of a structure now because we talk about we need at least few swing highs and few swing lows to make it into a structure. And this bearish move is still very impulsive. There is some correction in the middle, sure, but we haven't really got a bigger correction, which is kind of a bigger correction here to correct this overall move. And if we zoom out here, we still got quite a bit of room to actually to the low here. So there is potentially another move down for the price if we're able to uh, kind of wait for a potential continuation here to go down lower. So that is still my bias here on the dollar. Like I don't see the dollar strength like what I once saw in beginning of May or mid-May. It is after all 2.5 months has passed, right? So price began to fall into something like this, and it looks like we are going to get another move down from the price. Okay, so that's kind of how I see this on dollar index. So now let's continue to a few dollar pairs. There's a few requests on Aussie dollar. Now you can see this a few couple ways. Now, someone showed me that there could be a structure like this. Sure, right? That is certainly possible. I'm just looking at more in the broader picture now. If we see this as an impulsive move down, up, sorry, and then I think this is a bigger correction we're in currently. And how the price get to the bottom of the correction is really important, right? because we're not impulsively pushing down to the correction. Now it looks like we're falling into this kind of descending structure. So few swing highs, few swing low, in my opinion. And whether or not you see this as a bearish continuation or you see this as a potential area for a bullish reversal, I think there's just a little bit more development needed, right? If you see this as a bearish reversal, bearish continuation, and you want to see price to break down and go lower, right? That is your bias of a potential sell if you're kind of looking at this as a sell. Whereas if I'm looking more on the neutral side, I kind of want to see how this area will develop. I will just kind of wait. I preferably price to just break up now and then continuation with a bullish continuation instead of going up. See what price to do when it reach this high or the top of the overall structure. That is kind of how I will kind of manage this. But I don't see any entries. I don't see much development at this point. So we'll see how it goes in the next couple of days. Kiwi Dollar, I mentioned this as a potential price here. I like how this is very, very similar like Aussie Dollar, that we have the impulsive move down, up. Sorry, I keep saying up and down wrong, but we have an impulsive move up, right? We fall into a larger structure. And how the price get to the bottom is really important. We're getting it correctively. If this was going to push down and then followed by a bearish continuation to go lower, then it kind of looks like the bullish bias doesn't exist. But because we've moved down and then we fall into a more corrective structure, a bullish reversal corrective structure, that kind of leads me more into a potential bullish run rather than a continuation of a bearish run here. So if we look closely, that we're falling into this kind of a descending structure here. So we're basically going to want to see how the price will react. Again, you can see this as a bearish move, right? Just like Aussie dollar, or you can see this as a bullish reversal, right? So it's really up to you kind of how you judge this. And to me, again, the higher time frames at least giving you a little bit more clue, right? Sometimes I get these inquiry about, well, what the price action in the lower time frame looks bearish. Sure, if you're only looking at, let's say, like this part of the price, and this is all the price action you're looking at, perhaps this does look like a bearish move. But when you zoom out and you look at the higher time frame overall, then suddenly what was looking bearish to me now looks bullish because I consider the fact that we have a larger kind of structure, we have a larger impulsive move upside, we're correctively moving down to this larger structure. So that's why my decision, at least the way how I see it, is more bullish rather than bearish, right? So, but again, there is really nothing wrong, nothing right or wrong in this case, because if you're looking for bearish, then look at according to your plan, right? There is nothing wrong if you're looking for that short-term sell. Whereas I'm kind of looking at the overall structure here for a potential bullish continuation. Pound dollar, same idea. I kind of look at it as a bullish move now. What was once a bearish kind of structure, if you guys recall, I had a bearish bias, we pushed down, but we just couldn't break this low. I think this is really, very, very important here, is that this was the previous low, and I mentioned price at the time needs to break the low and then continuation after to make everything here looking more bearish. But you can see clearly that price pushed down to that low, right, very impulsively, and there is no bearish continuation. Instead, what do we get here? A bullish reversal, right? This is super important on the lower time frame. I talk about this almost every time. When you see a move down, and if it's not followed by continuation, and if it's not even followed by reversal, and it just had a straight impulsive move to the upside, that is a very, very strong price action where it basically tells you that what was once very, very strong momentum, such as this bearish move, is quickly reversed out by a bullish reversal in this case. And if it's followed by bullish continuation, it has a very strong probability of reversing the price, which is exactly kind of what we get here. Right. So if you're not familiar with, make sure you check out this video on reversal price action. There is a video on this reversal impulse price action. I think this is very, very key when it comes to your management of your trade. If you're holding a long-term trade, or if you're in a position that you're worried about how to manage it accordingly, this is the best to manage it, because this is a clear sign from the market that the momentum is exhausted. Okay. So that's why to me, because the price didn't kind of break below that level that I point out, break below this bottom that the price ended, we had a strong bullish reversal. We basically breaking out of this kind of descending structure as well. So all that really leads to me to think that we're going to get an upside move now. Now I didn't capture any of these moves, but I'm looking at this to see if we're going to get at least a bigger correction here that will potentially push the price up. And if we look at the overall higher time frame now, what was originally once the kind of a similar structure like what I pointed out maybe months ago is now changing, right? Because that is what price does. It doesn't necessarily have to follow what its previous has done. It was shaping up to be similar, like something like this, right? And I kind of talk about this a few times. But because we continuously to develop, now we're seeing a bottom here, and this eventually becomes a impulsive move now. And all you have to see now is this correction is evolving into a bullish continuation now. What was once a bearish kind of more price action, now it is evolving into a potential bullish run. So all this is just something you have to consider, right? Market moves every time, right? What was once something that it gives you a bearish bias may or may not continue, and then now you may potentially get a bullish bias from it. So we'll see kind of how it goes, right? But this is kind of what I see on pound dollar at the moment. Pound yen, I will go over that after. Just going down in orders right now on my watch this year. Double top on pound dollar, sure, right? There is double top here, but you still have quite a bit of room to the top, right? Let's put it this way. If we're looking for one bias, if I'm looking for a bullish bias, I can come up with bearish bias to not take a trade. If you're looking for bearish bias, I can come up with bullish bias not to take the trade, right? There's really no way for you to have a trade that won't have other traders to disagree with. Let's put it honest with you, right? Let's say you use one strategy to look for long, and guarantee you there's other strategy out there that's going to look for a sell, right? So it's really up to you and your perspective, right? And I mentioned this as the price continues to develop, we're going to get bigger structure and evolving structures, right? So I'm talking about dollar CAD here. So a dollar CAD here, uh, to me, it looks like that we're going to get some sort of bearish move now. Unfortunately, I was looking at this as a potential long. I think there was quite a bit long positions that some of you guys got in, myself included. The price did indeed push out. We have a correction here. We have another correction once we broke out here. And price just didn't have that momentum to push all the way to this top, which is kind of what I do want to see. And potentially once it reaches this top, there might be strong bearish reversal. But it didn't really reach the top. It basically had an impulse up and then a reversal impulse, right? That is kind of what we're seeing. And we just talk about how strong these kind of price action is. Impulse up, reversal impulse, looking like that bearish continuation is going to push down the price. So looking at what it's going to develop here, is it going to form into another correctional structure? We don't know, but it looks like the bearish move is a little bit more stronger now. Saw some of you guys post that you guys either caught it here or here, so good job on your part. You're basically seeing if we're just going to get another kind of correctional structure and push back to this kind of descending structure here that it was once a bullish reversal. But again, you would pick through the dollar pairs, right? I talk about this a lot. Pick through the dollar pairs that is going to give you a stronger bias or things like that. Then look for a sell on the bottom here to continue if that's going to fit your plan to do so. I think selling here was good. I think that is the right move in my opinion. You're basically just waiting to see if it's going to be further downside front afterwards. Let's move on to some yen pairs now. Let's move on. So someone asked about cat yen here. I'm kind of looking at cat yen here to see what it's going to do. Again, this is similar price action, right? You have an impulsive move pushing down. There is no continuation. It just to push down instead of having a reversal impulse. Now I talk about this maybe in last week's stream or something like that, where while I still hold a potential bearish bias for the yen, but it has to give me a little bit more confluence. Like you see how this move here has a really strong bearish move down. It basically have a strong reversal. And was kind of forming into a corrective to go up, but instead kind of just forming into something like this, like a really odd shaped correction, but it's still pushed down after. Now I'm basically just kind of looking at, is this going to be another correction here, or are we going to get a bigger consolidation before the downside? I don't see this as an immediate downside right away, at least from my point of view. I don't see much here. Maybe some of you guys see this as a head and shoulder. But I still think this bullish move up is needed to at least correct or reverse before the downside happens. So I'm kind of just waiting to see in this area or overall if we're going to get some bearish kind of price action. Now we are talking about someone, a bunch of you guys asked about pound yen here. Yeah, I mean, there is some move pushing down, but I don't think this is, again, enough to justify anything. I don't know how you guys plan to enter here or whatever, but I don't see much entries here. It's a lot of pullback, hard kind of pullback, but I haven't seen any structures yet, right? So if you're in from somewhere, not sure where you're in, but I really don't see that at the moment. I see it more as a structure like this. Certainly, this can just continue falling and falling, but we have to stick to our plan, right? We're not just going to enter everything what we think is going to happen. We need to enter following our plan. And following our plan meaning that you're trying to identify some sort of structure here. I'm not sure if you guys see this as a structure. Potentially, this could be ascending channel or however you guys want to see. But because this move pushing down is very impulsive and it is basically reverse up now, I need a lot more confluence here in order for me to look for a sell setup. Okay, because this looks like an inverse head and shoulder. This can continue moving down and then potentially reverse, right? And that's something that is showing you from the price. And again, this reversal impulse kind of price action is throwing me off a little bit because what I wanted to see at the time is price to break out of this structure, which it did at one point, but it just didn't continue afterwards, which is what I wanted to see, right? So sometimes this is going to happen where a move that has happened is your first confirmation. You're waiting for that last confirmation. It just didn't develop, and price start giving you a little bit of reversal. In this kind of sense, I would usually be a little bit more patient, right? There's really no need to rush the sell if you look at how much ahead or how much room we have in terms of a potential sell. There is really no point to rush here if the price hasn't developed into something. Now, someone just said, well, can this be a head and shoulder? Sure, right? This is a head and shoulder developing. If we do get a right shoulder to go down, then at least we're getting a lot more noticeable structure. And at least seeing a head and shoulder gives you a more bias of a reversal, right? This is a bullish move up. It has to reverse some point if you're looking for a bearish continuation, then something like this would be ideal, or some other structures and patterns that could form here. That will give you a little bit more bias here at the time. Okay. So really, I'm not really interested in any of the yen pairs, but I do see some potential. But I think I missed dollar yen here. I think dollar yen is doing well, and it's just there's a bunch of these dollar yen position that I took, but none of them really pushed down. And looks like this might be the one pushing down, but I was out of this trade here when price pulled back to the top. So basically exit the trade, but you can see eventually kind of just leads down again, right? It's a little bit consolidating here, but ultimately I still have a bias here that we are going to reach to the bottom of the low here. The structure is a little bit odd, right? The structure is a little bit odd like this, but nevertheless, it is still a correction, right? So still a correction here, still looking like we can push down to the low here. So I'm going to monitor this one. I want to see how the price breaks this low. If it followed by another correction, I still think there's enough room to push to the downside if it's going to give me a potential sell opportunity. Any question on the dollar or the yen pairs? What trade are you in at the moment? I'm only in euro dollar, which is what I update in the trade recap videos. Just in one euro dollar position. I'm not in any other position right now. Thoughts on gold? Yeah, I'm gonna go over gold after I finish on the Forex pair, so I'm a little bit behind, but I will get to it eventually. But let's continue here. Let's continue here. So let's talk about Euro Aussie here, okay? Euro Aussie. I got this question a lot. Why is the Euro Aussie falling? What's wrong with it? Guys, we need to first change your perspective. No trade is always going to work in your favor. Let's be honest with each other first. Okay, so you can have the best strategy, the best entry, the best whatever, and the trade can still not work out. It's just a probability. Okay, so start getting that in your head. No, you're not always going to get 100% strike rate. This is what trading is all about, right? You're going to take losses. It's going to happen. Any professional, consistent trader will take losses. It's how you manage losses. What is your risk management? Do you have proper management, proper planning? That's going to help you to be more consistent. So taking a loss on Euro Aussie, what did you cap your risk at 1%? If you did, then that's 1% loss, right? And you can easily make back all that percentage in other trades that hit your profit. That is what trading is, guys. So make sure you understand you can have the best strategy in the world. You can still take losses, but how you manage your emotion, how you manage your plan, how you manage them afterwards is what separates you from a consistent trader than a non-consistent trader. Okay, so um, I want to talk about this because I've been getting all these messages about all the Euro Aussie trade didn't work out. That's fine, right? You take a loss and you move on, right? The price may give you a better entry in the future, and you would look to re-enter later because you only lost 1%, and you are very, very patient. You wait for price to develop a little bit further, and potentially we might get another sell now, right? So what I see here on Euro Aussie is that because this price didn't push down or at least didn't break out the way how we wanted it, but it continued moving up, all that showing you is that this potentially is a structure that hasn't finished yet. We did see the breakout, but the continuation wasn't strong enough to push lower. But what it's telling you now, we're just kind of moving correctly up to this top here, right? So we're basically having a little reason double top here, like a mini double top. And because we correctively move up in this kind of a ascending channel, so you can almost see this as an M style pattern here. So the confirmation here for me is I want to see price to basically just break out of this ascending channel and this larger ascending channel. So if it does break down followed by continuation, then I will look for another sell again to the low. Right? I understand the risk involved. I understand the potential reward involved. That if I can potentially capture this or that depending on the pips, you can get 4 to 1, 5 to 1 depending on your stop loss. And I'm happy to take these trades over and over again, even though I did take a loss. Right? That's how trading is, guys. Right? So sometimes the price wasn't enough to push down, you took a loss and you exit the trade. Make sure you don't hold on to your stop loss, which is what a lot of traders do, and that's how they blow their accounts. Because maybe sometimes you do this in a short sample size, it has worked out. You don't honor your stop loss, price move up, and then start dropping, and you feel like you're a genius to do that. But what if the price continue to move up, right? And you're at 4, 5, 6, 7% loss, and if you don't have proper risk management, if you don't risk 1%, you're risking like 10. If you're risking like 3%, 5%, then imagine that, right? This is how easily a trader can blow an account in one trade, right? Who says the price couldn't just continue moving up like this? Right? We can never know. So if you're not sure, if you're not knowing, if you just keep holding your losses, as this loss continue to accumulate, at this the more likely you don't want to sell because you're at a greater loss and you're just hoping for the price to reverse. And remember that screenshot I shared with you guys in Telegram where this guy lost literally 50,000 pounds in oil because he was buying at the top and price just keep dropping, keep dropping, keep dropping. He just never want to take his stop loss. He lost 50K in one trade, blow their account, and the broker uh, has to buy the oil. I mean, sell the oil to compound his losses, right? What is that term called again? I can't think of. He has to what's the term called? I'm trying to think. I can't think of it right now, but basically when you have a buy position to offset it, you would sell, right? Kind of thing. I forgot that term. I can't think of it right now, but basically because he's in so much losses in his buy position, the broker automatically opens sell position to offset his buy positions. But really, you're not saving any money in any case, right? So that's why I just want to talk about this because I hate to see traders blow their accounts. I hate to see traders who was doing well maybe for a few weeks and then just because one trade, they hit all their losses or they end up blowing their accounts just from one particular trade. I think that's really not hedging. Yes, yes, hedging. Exactly. Thank you. That is the word I'm trying to say. Hedging is the word. Yes. So hedging. Yes, yes. That's what I'm saying, right? So. Uh, That's what broker automatically hedge your account because you're just in too much loss and you have to open an opposite trade. Yeah. So margin call, yes, as well. Yes, margin call as well. But my point was hedging. That was the term I was trying to say. Yes, when your margin's not enough to open the position anymore, the broker close it. Broker may close it or broker may open opposite positions, right? When you're in the buy position but it falls so much, the brokers are putting in sell position automatically for you to offset your buy that's in the greater loss. That's basically what it is. Okay, so those of you who haven't experienced this, don't experience this, right? Obviously, but I'm trying to give you guys some past history that at least I encountered someone who did that. Now, my whole point is not make fun of this person or anything. It's using him or his case as a learning curve for anyone who is struggling in this concept. Is if you don't use stop loss or you don't cap your risk, something like this can happen. And when the price continue to move up and you're seeing your losses gets accumulated, the more likely you won't want to sell here. Would you agree with that? Because you're taking multiple losses in one trade. Look, as it goes up more and more and more, the more likely you don't want to sell because you know that once you sell, you realize all these losses. Right now, you're in a trade that's with unrealized losses, so you know there's a chance that it can reverse. But as it continue to go up and up and up more, you don't want to sell anymore. So when is this going to end? Basically, it ends when you have a blown account. And just when you exit the trade, the market does this all the time. Just when you exit the trade, boom, it started dropping. And most trader will be like, well, that's a scam, right? And they're just waiting for me to exit the trade before the market reverses. Well, think how they like, right? But that is not the case, right? It's all in your head. It's all a psychological thing in traders' mind, right? The market doesn't play tricks with you. The market moves just as much as it moves, right? It doesn't move based on your emotion or what you want it to do, right? And honestly, with our small position sizes, it's not going to move the market at all, right? So let's put it this way. The more you acknowledge that, the more easier trading it is for everyone. The more you acknowledge the fact that we have no control of the market at all. All we're doing is we're analyzing the market and we have proper risk management plan, trading plan, and we have good risk reward and we exit the trade. And we know that sometimes our trade will be in a loss, but sometimes our trade will be in a win. But as long as we have proper risk reward ratio, we know that we don't risk over too much and things like that, then you'll be fine, right? We always blame the others, the market. Yeah, exactly. This is what typically humans do, right? We're human beings. We this is exactly what we do. It's we don't like to admit we're wrong. Okay, so I may want to point this out. We're humans. We don't want to admit we were wrong. We tend to blame others for our own mistakes, right? But trading is one of those things where if you don't admit you're wrong, or if you don't admit like it's your fault on certain things, you will never be a better trader because that's just how it is, right? It's an inner self, trading psychology, mindset, emotion type of things where it is all about yourself, right? There's no one playing tricks with you. The market can care less about what you think and what you do because the market will move continuously whether you're in the trade or you're out of the trade. It really doesn't matter, right? So to blame the market, to blame things externally where it really has no you have no control of, really isn't going to help you in your trading journey, right? Yes, hedge the position. That's exactly, yeah. So we talk about pound Aussie. I did talk about pound Aussie in the beginning. I think pound Aussie and euro Aussie are basically very similar. So if I was to get involved with them, I would probably just take one of them. I think they're equally as good. Okay, so again, it's come to your perspective on, when we filter the trade, what do you like more? Well, if for your Aussie here, I want to see price to break down and then continuation here, right? That's kind of how I see, how I would personally get involved if that happens. I think pound Aussie already kind of break down from that correction that we're seeing. So I want to see if we get just a little bit of consolidation here. That would be nice to see. But overall, pound Aussie, I've mentioned this in the beginning. I think the bearish move is still valid. The bearish impulse is still valid. We just have kind of what we call the pattern separation now. But the pattern separation here, at least the way how I understand it, compared to I think maybe some other guys who have different view on this, all of this is that the pattern separation gives you either a strength in your original analysis. It just basically means that your bearish bias is still valid because even though it's two different patterns now, this is still a bearish kind of price action. We're still getting bearish potential reversals, so that strengthens your original analysis. Whereas if this is going to create a bullish kind of price action, then it gives you a signal almost that the bearish original momentum is exhausted. It pushes up, it creates its own correction now. Then basically it's telling you that this bearish correction is no longer valid. We have impulse, reversal impulse, bullish continuation to go upside. Then basically that is showing you that the original bearish bias is no longer valid. But to me, I still see all this pretty bearish. So I would still be looking for a bearish reversal from the top, but in reality is a bearish continuation downwards afterwards. Right, so that's pound Aussie. I think pound Aussie, Euro Aussie, they're pretty good. Like I said, I'll probably pick one of them. If you're gonna ask me, I think pound Aussie is slightly better, at least the way how I see it, because they're at the extreme kind of top. When you see something like this, if it does play out, the reversal usually is going to be fast and strong, right? When you see a period of this kind of consolidation, continuously, and you basically, if you zoom out here, if I want to see how the price was here, after a long period of consolidation such as this, right, you have this kind of a move up to the top, and then this move down is quite fierce, right? Even though it doesn't look like it, but in the daily time frame, this is quite strong, right? If we look at the tops here, so that's quite a bit run here in 2,000 pips or so. This is during COVID, of course, but I want to point out this is that the longer, the deeper, the lengthier of a correction goes, right? This is an impulsive move down. The longer, lengthier, deeper correction goes, with more price action in the middle, the stronger the next impulse goes. And after the impulse goes, if it's still followed by bearish continuation, bearish kind of price action, then I do expect the bearish momentum to continue. All right, so that's pound Aussie. Let's move on to pound Kiwi. Pound Kiwi doesn't look as attractive, but again, I think this is another lesson for pattern separation. Again, I'll talk about this in Thursday coming up. If I just want to double check, Thursday New York session, I'm doing another workshop video after the Wednesday midweek market update. So another workshop here on Thursday. I hope these streams work out in the next couple of days, but this is when I'm going to do another workshop. So tune into this one. I'm going to talk about pattern separation. But to me, this is pretty much the same thing, right? A pattern here and a pattern here. This is separated by this, but to me, the price action really doesn't change because I still see this move as the bearish move. So this can be a structure on its own, but the bearish bias to me is still there, and it still kind of adds confluence to the bearish here. So what I want to see here is what I originally want to see is actually this move pushing up to the top here, right? So you can get a few swing highs and a few swing lows. But it looks like this double top here is kind of taking it more effectively. You can see this structure as this as well, depending on how you want to see. Certainly, it has a structure like this in this larger structure as well. Potentially, this is a top here that the price is reacting to. You can see this push up, reverse down. Looks like there's a continuation correction here. But if I was to choose, I would choose pound Aussie still versus pound Kiwi. But I think they have reasonably same kind of bearish kind of potential bias in the upcoming days. All right. Gold, I'm gonna go over right after Forex, so I just have a few more pairs to go over. Binance Coin, yes, I will talk about all crypto at the end, so bear with me. Just finishing up the currency side. Euro Aussie, I did go over that earlier. So Euro Aussie, I'm kind of basically waiting to see what the price will do here. It kind of forms a double top, ascending channel within the larger ascending channel, and I'm kind of basically waiting for price to break down, followed by a continuation to go down lower. You might miss this earlier, but I talk about Euro Aussie. Some of us take a trip, sometimes take losses, myself included, but I'm fine taking losses and then getting back to it when the price is ready. Now let's move on here. I think someone asked me all about the Aussie pairs. Yeah, let's talk about the Aussie pairs. I think Aussie cow was one that you mentioned. Now, if we look at the price, there has been a downtrend for quite a bit of time, right? I think some of us caught some of these down move, myself included here. There's a few trades I personally took. I was originally looking at this to be a potential bullish reversal, which is kind of what I wanted to see. I thought that we're getting lower to this bottom here, that this could be a double bottom and this could be a reversal. Now, it kind of looked like it just break down from it, which is what we're seeing here. But here is kind of exactly what we talk about in terms of a bullish reversal now, right? If you look closely here, what the price is doing is that we had this kind of continuation from this bearish price. It pushed down, but what it is telling you is that is there continuation on the bottom here, right? Is there continuation on the lower time frame here to continue the price? No, there isn't, right? It basically had a reversal, right? I think this is again reversal type of price action on the lower time frame where you see a reversal impulse, and is it going to follow by a continuation afterwards to continue the price? And that's something you should watch out for. This momentum pushing down was great, but this isn't great when you start seeing reversal like that, right? This is basically telling you that what was once a bearish momentum is exhausted. We have a bullish reversal. If it's followed by bullish continuation, then basically this whole thing is not going to be continuation anymore. It looks like we might get a reversal from the price. Look how this looks like there's a lot of momentum here. So this is something like this, potentially showing you that the original sell here is no longer going to be the one pushing down. Aussie Swiss. I think Aussie Swiss and Kiwi Swiss, which I'll quickly go over, it has potential. The Aussie Swiss, I think we've been talking about this a long time, that this could be a larger structure on its own. And you can see this kind of pattern separates from this overall kind of channel here. But this is a descending structure, right? I remember when I updated this last week when price is somewhere here, I mentioned I would prefer for the price to go down, potentially hitting one more low, so few swing highs and few swing lows, and then potentially reverse from the bottom here, which is kind of what we're doing right now, what the price is forming. So basically just waiting to see if this is going to break out, continuation, and then continue the price. If it forms a continuation here, this might be also an inverse head and shoulder. We broke out a descending structure. We're potentially at the bottom of this larger higher time frame flag or parallel channel, looking for upside, right? There's a lot of room to upside. And it's basically similar like Kiwi Swiss. I like Kiwi Swiss slightly a little bit better because at least we are still within this kind of structure here and we're getting a little bit more price action within. Basically just waiting for some bullish activity to confirm the bullish price action afterward. Okay, so overall, I think the bullish bias is still there. This was the bullish impulsive run. This falls into a larger, deeper correctional structure. Still reasonably think that we could get this potential move in the weeks to come. All right. So that is Kiwi Swiss, guys. Any question on the Forex pairs before I move on to gold and other things? Yeah, I am going to jump into gold, so I apologize. Why set the alarm? Sorry, I missed this question. Set the alarm so it reminds me where the price is, right? Where the price might head. So like an area of interest kind of thing. So like for Euro Aussie, I set alarms so that I will remind myself at least because I'm not on the chart all the time. Right? I think this is another quick lesson is like I'm not looking at the chart every minute or I'm not looking at my broker app every minute when I'm not looking at the charts. Right? That's how you stay away from being emotional, stick or like married to your analysis or worry about your trades, right? Think about when you have a larger account where you're trading larger capital. Staring at your broker or chart every second, it's not really giving you that much, uh, not much, I want to say, it doesn't give you any, uh, it doesn't create anything good for you. Let's put it this way, because you're seeing money come, money go, profit come, profit goes. There's no point really looking at it unless you need to, right? And I'm going through the charts. I will look at the charts when I want to look at the charts, but other times I try to not look at it because I don't want to be an emotional trader. So by setting the alert, so it will warn me if the price falls down, and I'll keep an eye on it. I'll go back to the chart to see, okay, what is it doing? Is it giving me confirmation, right? For like pound Aussie, for example, or I want to wait for a continuation correction here. So I'll set an alert to see if it's actually going to develop something like this. If it does not, I will I'll adjust the alarm again and I'll off to go do something else. Right? It's just my way of managing anything. Right? Again, the whole point of this, so it's not I'm always looking at the charts, nor am I always looking at my broker's app to see the price. There is really no needed to do that, right? So, so let's go about gold. Pound dollar went over this a few times, but I'm basically at least my bias here is to be waiting for some sort of bullish continuation to push up. That's all. This becomes a double bottom, right? This becomes a double bottom. We have a bullish reversal. We have bullish kind of a reversal structure as well. So basically, just kind of to see if we're gonna get another push up to the upside. And then once it hit the upside, obviously we'll look to see if this is going to break out and then continue upwards, or we're just gonna hit the top here and then reverse back down again. We don't know that yet, but basically what we're seeing here in terms of the structure, at least few swing highs, few swing lows, and price was originally pushing down, hitting this double bottom here and just couldn't break lower and becomes a reversal. So that's why it leads me to think there is another run to the upside. So let's move on. Let's move on to other pairs now. Let's talk about gold. Seems like there's a lot of people asking for gold. I personally really don't see much developing on gold, at least from my point of view. This area here is really indecisive. Let's put it this way. Originally, this could be the correction, and now it evolved into something like this, and then it just kind of pushed down. And now, what do you see here? Well, I really don't see much here. I'll be honest. I mean, you'll go on TradingView, you'll go on everywhere. You're just gonna see people buy and sell or whatever. Um, I personally really don't see much develop here. I mean, I'll try to join the structure here, sure, but I don't see much confluence to look for the sell or look for the buy at this moment. What I prefer to see is another move down because that will complete the higher time frame structure here. And looking for the buy here is just much, much, much greater and good to hold for long term. But obviously, we can't hope in the market, right? I'm just kind of looking at this area to see whether or not we're going to get bearish continuation, right? And then looking for the buy here. If it does not, if this is just going to continue move up, then I'm not buying anyway here. I'm only gonna be buying if we can break the high here and break out of this structure as well. Which I really don't see that's gonna happen. I'm just kind of looking at this area. It's a little bit sideways kind of price action. So I think this is still a corrective phase of the market after this impulsive move down. This just another corrective phase that it's in. It's not quite clear, and people are getting trapped in this consolidation area, especially because people like to. It's like a emotion thing. I think it's people like to trade gold. It's not because gold has any better price action than other. I think just it looks cool when people talk about I trade gold, blah blah blah. I think there is a period. This is just a consolidation period. See how much price isn't moving up and down too much. So a lot of people are just getting buy and then get tagged out or sell getting tagged out. Really, that's what happens, right? Within this range that the price is in, people are just getting tagged out all the time, right? There's only about $30 difference here, meaning that the movement up and down is about $30, but people just getting sucked into this and just keep losing money because there is really nothing developing here. Right? Why not be patient here and at least wait for a clear finish of this consolidation? We don't know if this is going to finish anytime soon, but this is a consolidation where you shouldn't be entering trades when there is no clear price action development. Okay, so I hope this pass on to the right people who are struggling in this concept or who are losing money in this consolidation where it's easy to be avoided. Right, that's all trading is about. You take less trades and you don't need to take mediocre trades that will take profits away from your account. Right, anybody can enter a few trades and earn profits, simple. But how they manage their account by not taking mediocre trades or not taking a trade that is in a consolidation is what separates them once again from consistent traders. All right. So let's move on. I really don't have much. I really don't have much other commodities on watch. I was looking at this oil here. Now, when this move happens, push down and then reversal, push up, I was kind of like, well, looks like the bearish momentum wasn't there anymore. There is no bearish continuation. When the move kind of pushes up, I kind of want to see, well, is it going to push up all the way to the top again? If it does, it'll give you a little bit more bias to work with. But it looks like it is forming a structure on its own. So I'm kind of looking at this to see if this is going to be a bearish kind of reversal to push down the price. But I don't think there is really setups at this moment. If this is something that you are comfortable getting involved, then sure. But I would prefer at least for the price to reach the high, right? That's how I would usually will look for a reversal like kind of structure, a reversal like price action. Um, but that's all I see. Like there, I think there is a very good potential. This, if it develops a correction here, this can push down to the low. But I don't think personally I would take it. It really depends on how this right side or right shoulder is. Looks like this is a potential head and shoulder. But head and shoulders are best when they're at the top of the overall price action, not kind of halfway. And that's why it's a little bit throwing me off in this case. Silver was once looking pretty clean. I thought some of you guys released the price pushed down a little bit. You're able to catch a little bit of this. But basically what this is telling you guys, this is again very why we manage their trade and why we look at the lower time frame for management is that this impulsive move pushing down was once followed by a bearish continuation. But look what the bearish continuation happened. Bearish push down, bullish reversal. Looking like there is a bullish continuation now. Right? So what does this look like? Inverse head and shoulder pattern, right? So that is something from the market that is telling us that what was once a bearish continuation, now it looks like there is a bullish reversal. So we have to manage our trade accordingly, right? We all want to potentially catch an impulsive phase, but we also should understand that not every move or not every entry that we enter is going to be the impulsive move, right? And we have to adjust. We have to manage our trade accordingly because that is what trading is all about. It's never going to be easy as what you usually going to see on social media, right? It's not how it is. So you need to manage it accordingly. If you see something like this as an inverse head and shoulder, as a bullish reversal impulse, that is a sign from the market to exit the trades, right? I personally really won't be buying here either. I think the overall price here is still kind of looking like bearish, but the lower time frame here isn't wide, so it's a little bit conflicting. So when it's a little bit conflicting, again, it's best to stay out of it or watch for more development. This can easily push up, but just forms into a deeper correction and still go down afterwards. And again, no point to get trapped in the consolidation phase. Make sure the consolidation is finished and look for entry afterwards. Right? This is why again we honor our stop loss, whether or not our stop loss is at break even or -1. we honor it, we move on, and then we come back again when the price is right. Okay. So that's silver. I don't really have other commodities to talk about unless you guys have some, but I will go into indices now. If you guys have any additional one, let me know. Kiwi Yen, I'm gonna go back later on. Okay, I finished on the Forex parity, so I'm gonna go on with the indices and I'll jump into crypto and then I'll come back afterwards. So I'm gonna go a little bit faster here now, guys. I'm a little bit behind my schedule. So Nasdaq originally had the bearish sell here, got a little bit of profit, but it pushes up, and I mentioned about what we're going to see at the double top here. If it's going to give us a bearish reversal, then I will be interested. But to me right now, I'm not really seeing a bearish bias. I'm almost looking like this is going to be a bullish bias now. This is the what the price is currently giving us is that the bearish bias pushed out is reversed from this inverse head shoulder, and then a bullish impulse happens. There is a few kind of buy setups here that's interesting, and now it forms into kind of like a pennant or triangle, or however you want to call this, but looking like it's going to be a bullish continuation. Okay, so I personally not looking to take this, at least because we're still in this larger high time frame structure. What will convince me that none of these will be valid is obviously a breakout followed by another bullish continuation. If this happens, that's going to kind of void everything I talk about in terms of the sell. But because we're still in the structure, this can easily kind of push up and then start consolidating more before the downside. We don't know, right? Yes, this is a correction. This is looking like a bullish continuation, but you can just easily push up here and then start reversing. We don't know what's going to happen yet. But at this given moment, I'm not looking for any sell or buy. I want to see how this area will develop. And if we do get a bearish reversal, kind of bearish like rejection here, then I would still look for the sell. All right. So that's Nasdaq. S&P 500 is relatively the same. You look like this is a structure currently right now, right? We have that push down for the price, but again, reversal impulse up. Is this going to be a bullish continuation or is it going to be a bearish reversal? At this point right now, it's very hard to tell. It's really hard to tell because we're still in this larger structure. Could be a double top here that this could reverse. This is one way of seeing it. Or if you're simply just looking at this piece of the price, this is an impulse. This could be a correction to go higher. Right. So same idea, same approach, same management like Nasdaq is. If this is going to break out followed by bullish continuation, then that is going to be my confirmation saying that all these price action is no longer valid. We're going to get a bullish run. But if we're going to kind of consolidate here a little bit longer, a little bit more neutral, and then break down followed by bearish continuation, then the overall structure is still bearish and we can still get the bearish sell. Last one is Dow Jones. So Dow Jones, same idea here, right? All these three US indices are basically making the same correction, and they basically have the same price action where we have that impulse down, reversal impulse. And if this is going to be that bullish continuation, if it is going to break out, breaking above these highs, and then bullish continuation after, then again, that's going to give you a bullish kind of bias. But until then, just like S&P, just like Nasdaq, we're still in this consolidation. So this can still lead to a bearish move, right? So this is an area, all three of them is just you can be a little bit more patient with them. There is really no need for you to jump into the buy or jump into the sell until there is finishing whatever that lower time frame correction that they're currently in. And then that will give you a better bias of the higher time frame. All right, so Dow Jones here, waiting for this little structure to complete. S&P, same idea in here. Nasdaq, same idea in this area as well. Okay. Any question here on the indices, guys, before I move on to some crypto? Yeah, I'm gonna jump to SHIB. I'll talk about BABA really quick because we're on indices. Earnings tomorrow, that honestly, I don't really look at any of those earnings and stuff. That's just the way how I invest and trade. There's nothing wrong with, different methods and things like that. I'm purely looking at the price actions, etc. I don't really see, if I just zoom out here, I want to say I don't really see much developing, but something like this could happen. Like this is a potential structure on its own. If we can get a breakout for the price and then continuation after, that would be great. This looks like an inverse head and shoulder. If this does break out, if this does continue. Okay, but other than that, that is kind of what I see here on BABA. I do like how price has been moving up, right? This is a bullish kind of trend. All that is left is this is going to be a larger bullish continuation to push the price up. Okay. I do want to update on, let's see, like Tesla, because I am in Tesla. It looks like we are getting some breakout now, which is great. So Tesla has been something I've been holding since the bottom here. We've been pushing up very aggressively. Great. We fall into this larger structure as well. And I mentioned about if we get a bullish kind of continuation here, that would be nice. So basically, it did form kind of a correctional structure here, and then we're pushing up now, which is good. So expect price to hit the top here and then see how it happens when we reach the top. So let's talk about few crypto now. Let's talk about a few crypto to wrap things up. So let's talk about a few crypto now. I was looking at Cardano because I want to see how this kind of a descending structure will go. It looks like we have a breakout and then a continuation here. Basically, want to see if the price can actually break this high here and continue afterwards. That's kind of how I've been looking at this. I think there's a few cryptos that are looking great, like Binance Coin. Binance Coin is something I'm looking at. I didn't capture this yet, but it looks like we are having this kind of a continuation correction here. So looking like we're going to see at least for price to reach the top here. And we'll see how this goes. I think a lot of crypto are looking pretty bullish now, which is good. Um, and I'll start getting involved into a few more crypto if possible. Now, Bitcoin, I think there's a variation of how people see this, and I'll give you guys my perspective on it. I think there is a few possibility here. Now, I give you guys a scenario of both, right? When I make this analysis, I talk about if we're going to see upside more, we're going to see bullish continuation here. And then when we break out of this high, then we're going to see further bullish activity. That's going to confirm the continuation. Whereas if we reach this high here, and if we start finding bearish reversals, then expect this to be a larger bearish continuation to go lower. Okay, so I think we're at this area where you need to be slightly careful because some of you guys see this as a ascending kind of channel, which you're definitely right, right? It definitely looks like an ascending channel. And we're basically looking like we're going to reverse, right? So the structure I have right now is like this, but if we're going to reverse, this is going to look identical to kind of what I pointed out here on the previous outlook is that we hit this top here, and then we're still getting a reversal like kind of price action to go lower. I think that's the turning point right now. So just want to be careful here. I'm not saying the ascending channel won't work out, but again, once these ascending channel break down, naturally we want to see another correction to go lower. Right? And even if it goes lower hitting here, it doesn't guarantee this is going to start falling down. It could just push here and then start reversing back up again. Right? So all I'm saying here is this area that where price is in, just be very, very careful. Right? It may or may not be a reversal, and it may or may not be continuation yet, but it's looking like this is a key area where there's a lot of traders who are executing trades, and that's why there is consolidation here. So be careful if you're in the buy or in the sell. I personally is not, but I will be looking for buy if it breaks out followed by correction. And if it does drop down from the sell, I will look to see if the structure will complete. All right. So that's Bitcoin. Ethereum. Unfortunately, I didn't hold on to this Ethereum position. I got off for break even, but the price is moving up as we know, so it's great. We have a free push up. Now we're almost reaching to this high now. So whether or not this is going to break above this high, it's going to give the market a few more days to see. But if it does break above this high and then further bullish correction, that's going to add potential upside move more. Litecoin, I think Litecoin has a lot of possibility as well. There's this whole overall run has been great on Litecoin. There's a few more entries I personally took. Now we're falling into this kind of a descending structure, so like potential reversal. And I like how we have this kind of a descending reversal structure, and there's also potentially an inverse head and shoulder in the making. So if we get a bullish correction here, a bullish continuation correction, not only it shows you to break out of this descending structure, there is also inverse head and shoulder to go upside, and want us to see how the price will reach when it hit the top here. That's kind of how I see on Litecoin. I think there's possibility in this place. Matic is also another one I'm looking at. I did post analysis here as well if I can find it. So I like how, again, it's kind of a falling wedge pattern. We have a kind of a descending channel moving down as well, like clear impulse up. Now if we form into some sort of bullish continuation, again, it's going to give you that inverse head and shoulder, give you a breakout from the falling wedge, and then bullish continuation price action to the top here. That's also something I'm closely looking at. Remember, I usually say I don't like to sell crypto in terms of trading. Like I don't like to short crypto. I usually like to buy or go long on crypto, and versus investment I have that's holding the coins or whatever. So it looks like if we're getting more bullish activity from across the board, that would be great to look onto more bullish activities in the future. All right. Other than that, I don't see much other crypto that I'm watching out. Feel free to give me some that you guys are looking. But I'm basically went through all the markets I want to know. So those of you who are still with me, if you have any questions or any other pairs that you want me to take a look at, I'm happy to go over. Kiwi Yen, yes, let's talk about Kiwi Yen quickly. I don't see much going on Kiwi Yen. Just like other yen pairs, I kind of give you guys that, at least what I was saying is like I want to see a little bit more development on these. I went over those earlier, like on pound yen, euro yen, Swiss yen, things like that. I mentioned that I want to see a little bit more development. Kiwi yen is kind of the same thing because it kind of looked like after we broke this low, price didn't continue lower, right? Now I'm kind of falling to this kind of a wedge, you want to call this. Now it's a little bit unclear in this area. You can see I don't have any structures or price pointed out because I really don't see much going on. Like I almost want to say this is almost looking like a inverse head and shoulder pattern. Like again, all these bias is coming from the fact that we had a really strong impulse breakdown, right? This is a really strong impulse breakdown, and again, smaller inverse head and shoulder, impulsively up, and then looking like we are getting a little bit of consolidation here, uh, versus what we got originally from here. So this looks like an inverse head and shoulder. The higher time frame, at least, looking like we failed to break lower from here. So that leads me to believe, or at least current time, it looks like this can be a reversal. Like, but still quite unclear, and that's why I'm just going to be a little bit more patient, right? I don't need to always have to have a bias to buy or sell if it's not clear. Happy to wait for price to develop more and at least give me a better bias. All right. That is Kiwi Yen. So any question, guys? Any question on anything else that I'm happy to spend a little bit more time to answer? Neo USD, yeah, let's take a look at that. Oh, I don't have Neo, interesting. Yeah, it does look interesting actually, I would say. I would say it looks like, if depending on how you draw the structure, this looks like a more of a descending structure. And we have a breakout now, right? So there it's looking like there is some sort of continuation here. If you wait for a correction to finish, I think this is fine to enter if that fits your plan, of course. I like how this bearish impulsive move moving down is kind of correcting into something like this. And I like the breakout. And if there's bullish continuation here, reasonably expect price can reach this high and then kind of reevaluate once it reaches high if it's going to continue or not. Hey, you're welcome, Victoria. Appreciate it. Appreciate you staying through the whole stream. I'm sure there's a lot of you guys also. So I appreciate you guys watching the whole stream. Appreciate everything. So hopefully, whoever is with me the whole time, learn quite a bit new things every time. I hope that's the whole point of me doing all these. Yeah, have a wonderful day too, as well. Sure. Yeah, Nasdaq. I did go over that earlier. So basically, it's the same across S&P 500 and Dow Jones. They're basically in this kind of correction here. Now you can see this as a bullish correction if you're looking at only kind of this part here, this part of the price. This looks like a bullish correction, bullish impulse up, bullish correction in the making, looking like this can, once it finish, can push up. But I mentioned that because as long as we're in this higher time frame structure here, just like the other two indices, even if this pushes up, but as long as we're still within, as long as there is still bearish confluence, I'm not looking for buy or anything. I'm more inclined to look for sell if it does happen. Okay. The only way for me to change my bias is that if this breaks up and then followed by a continuation to go higher, then this basically tells you that what was once a bearish potential reversal is no longer valid because we break out of that structure and we have bullish continuation price action. But as of now, I'm really not looking to buy or sell because I think this is the area where traders get trapped a little bit. They might see this as a big push up, and this could be easily another push up. Sure, certainly looking like it, but this can easily just reach the high here and then start dropping, right, and making this just kind of a midway of this potential bigger correction in the making. If this pushes up, then basically you're looking at this as another bigger ascending channel to reverse, right? So that's why I'm a little bit more hesitant. I'm definitely not looking for a buy, even though I see this as a potential bullish run. But I will be inclined to look for a sell if something happens here. All right. Do I recommend books to study price action? Up to you, of course. I'm sure there are many, many books out there. I personally didn't really learn from books. I personally learned from watching YouTube videos, going on TradingView to look at other things. If you want, you can start from my price action videos. They're all free here. You can learn as much about price action as you can. There's a lot of videos here. I have workshop here. These are hours and hours long, where you can learn a lot more about price action in general. I think this is one of the most ones that watched by people that was at least uh, at least help people otherwise in terms of learning it. So if this is going to help you, watch these videos on price action, things like that, okay? Yeah, you're welcome, buddy. Any other question, guys? I'm happy to answer some questions. Just have a little bit more time, but I'm happy to answer some questions if you guys have. Like I said, I'm looking for really pound Aussie or Euro Aussie for a potential sell if it develops. I'm not really looking at anything else. I think Kiwi Swiss might be something, but again, it's still kind of not showing me any bullish price action yet. But I do want to be looking for a potential bullish move if this does play out. And Euro Swiss, someone asked me about that too. Because this continued dropping, right? Let's be honest, this is continuation dropping, and what we once want to see in terms of a bullish correction never happened, right? Never happened, never break up, never followed by any continuation. So there is no entry, right? It's pretty simple, guys. We make analysis, we make forecasting, and we need to make sure that if we have a confirmation bias, if it does develop into something, then we'll look for buys, right? But if it does not develop anything, if there is no bullish break up from the price, if there's no bullish continuation, then we don't enter, right? We move on to other opportunity. That is how trading is, guys. Okay, so make sure you understand it's not going to be so glamorous what people show you on social media and things like that. That's just not applicable to real trading, right? It's most likely because they want to sell you something. They want to make sure you, buy into whatever they're selling because they're showing you things that you want to see. It's not going to be like that. Okay, this is the statistical don't lie, everyone. Right? Most traders, 90 to 95% traders fail. So if it was that easy, like those people, those gurus said, then everyone should be winners, right? But why do the statistical still shows that traders, huge percentage of traders still fail in time, right? So there is something there that doesn't add up, right? How do you know a correction is finished? I have a bunch of videos on that you should watch. First, all these workshops is going to tell you that. Price action videos, there's one that's about corrections, how to identify the correction complete for the next impulsive move. You can watch this video. That will teach you a lot more about it. But the main point here is, I want to bring up this, is that no one is 100% sure when a correction will finish. I think I want to make this clear. Nobody's 100%. If you're going to be 100% sure a correction will finish, to be honest, why bother risk 1%? Risk 100% of your trading account if it's 100% guaranteed. No strategy, no style, no kind of trading method is going to give you 100% strike rate. It's just not possible, right? So first you have to understand that clearly. Second is to understand that this is why we keep a good proper risk management so we don't overtrade or we don't over leverage our account. Although we can identify these structures, right? You can identify these structures clearly, but it's not always guaranteed that they will play out, right? You just have to, sometimes the correction continue to evolve and they may or may not give you the actual price, but you're going to have positive confluence to add to your sell so that you know that there's a stronger probability of the price playing out, but it's not guaranteed, right? And that's why we kept our risk small and we kept our reward big so we potentially capture some of these runs, right? Again, also understanding that what was once a price that breaks out of structure, like in this case, may push back before the next drop down. So you just have to be careful in this kind of situation where it pulls back and then the structure evolves a little bit, but it breaks out after and it still gives you that continuation. That's still going to lead to the next impulsive move, right? So all that comes down to is identifying the structure finish, right? We know that the structure needs to have a few swing highs and a few swing lows, but seeing a structure like on a 5-minute chart doesn't mean much, right? You can see a flag anywhere, any time frame, but are you going to take every single 5-minute flag for entry? Not likely, right? You need to pair with a lot of other confluences, right? Double top, ascending channel, head and shoulder. a lot more bearish confluence to have a bearish run, just like you need to have a lot of bullish confluence for a potential bullish run. Okay, so make sure you understand multi-time frame analysis, top-down approach, combining different time frame, different price action, uh, different confluences that's going to help you to strengthen your analysis overall. Because again, you're going to find price action anywhere, any market, right? Any time frame, right? Are they all going to work out in your favor? Not necessarily, right? That's the problem with trying to buy or sell so many times because you think this is going to move. Like for example, if is this not a move up? Is this not some sort of flag? But did it go up? No, right? So again, you have to consider more than just the lower time frame. You need to consider higher time frame. You need to consider multi-time frame analysis. That's going to give you a higher edge or better edge in the market compared to others, right? So. How can you use the strategy and pass the challenge and grab 10% win rate? How can you not, right? It's all up to you, of course. If you're going to go apply FTMO or anything like that, then it's the same idea, right? You're going to keep your risk small and keep your reward big. So that's all up to you, right? And this is why those FTMO or any other those prop firms are going to have strictly management rules. You're not allowed to trade certain more. You're not allowed to risk more because they don't want you or they don't want the trader, whoever is going to be trading their money, to over leverage, over trade, and etc. Right? So, do I use currency index for extra confluence? I do have them. If you notice, I do look at like say dollar index, the Japanese index. I do have them there, but I kind of browse through them. I don't really necessarily it has to be a confluence or anything, but the reason why they're not is because they are literally identical to the dollar version of it. So this is New Zealand dollar currency index. Look at this picture. If I go to Kiwi dollar, it's going to be exactly the same, isn't it? So just like Japanese index here, if I inverse this, what does this look like? Well, dollar yen, right? So they're going to be basically similar, right? If you look at Euro currency index, what does this look like? Well, it's going to look like Euro dollar pretty much, right? So it probably does have influence, but like I said, because once you know that they're basically the same as the counterpart of the dollar, this is British index, right? So if I go pound dollar, it's going to look the same, right? So and Australian index, Australian dollar index. Right. Again, they're all going to be really similar to the dollar counterpart. So if you look at the dollar version of that currency pair, it's basically the same as the indices of that currency. So. All right, everyone. So any last minute question before I wrap everything up? Basically, been out for about an hour and a half. Apologize that there's a few minute delay in the beginning. I hope it's not the same next stream that I'm going to plan to do. From time to time, this is what TradingView did sometimes. They're just going to not let me play some streams and then I have to delete it, create a new one. I hope that doesn't happen, but sometimes that does. But like I said, I am doing a workshop on Thursday. So if you're into these workshop videos, I have done 3 of them already, and they seem to get the most positive feedback from everyone. These are hours long, so make sure you have some time if you want to watch them. But they do help traders to at least grasp kind of how these can be utilized in your trading. I always talk about you don't necessarily need to trade exactly the way how I trade, but from these price action videos, you're going to learn about how to identify the market a lot easier, and that may help you in the long run to incorporate that into your strategies or whatever that case, right? So you may not have to enter the same way I do, or you may not have to have the same risk management, or trading plan, but you should have your own, and you can utilize price action to your liking. Some people might want to say, well, I only want to trade on intradays. I only want to be a day trader, things like that. Sure, that if that fits your plan, there is going to be price action everywhere, any time frame, as I say, right? So even if you go down the 5-minute, 50-minute chart, does the price action exist? Yeah, price action still exists, right? It's just in a smaller time frame. So. Yeah, have a good week, everyone. So I'm going to stop here and hope to tell you guys on Wednesday, which is my Wednesday midweek market update. So I'll do another same stream like this, but it's going to be in the later on though. On the Wednesday morning, I have some things going on, so I can't be there. But it's going to be at 20 o'clock GMT. Okay, so that's 8 p.m. GMT time. That's almost basically the before the rollover time, so like in the afternoon time for me. But that's when I'm gonna have the next stream for a market update, and then the following day I will have a price action workshop. That will be back at 14 o'clock GMT. Okay, so. And until then, if you guys have any questions, welcome to message me on Telegram or anything else, Telegram or any other social media I have. I'm happy to answer, whether on TradingView, or you can type in things on YouTube, or you can join my Telegram to ask me questions. Okay, so that is it, and chat with you guys all next time. So be safe out there and hope for the best for all. Thank you very much.